ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injuries and additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing. It's precision crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Take your vibes and go, 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 go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of The After Show, which is like, it's not after a show, but it's not Vulgar Piece Theater. It's not Vulgar Piece Theater. It's not a costume drama. Lana's not here, but Allison Epstein and I are both, would you say, feral about this film?
Yes, I think we both caused minor scenes in actual cinemas a couple days apart for this movie, and so we've decided, I don't care what part of your podcast this is, we need to come on and talk about it.
No, I was like, we need to do this. And okay, first of all, the movie that we're talking about is Conclave, the 2024 Pope-based thriller.
And if you heard those words and didn't tell me, Allison Epstein, that this movie was coming out, we're not friends, because this is me. This is my genre of film.
I need to know your journey of hearing about this movie and then attending the movie.
It was a very brief journey. I subscribe to another Substack, which is Hello Poppy by J.P. Bremer, who writes gay pop culture, essentially. And he sent out a newsletter that said, I'm reviewing the new papal thriller. And the first line of his newsletter said, this movie has a cardinal who vapes in it, so of course I liked it. And I said, I'm going to see this movie. And I told Anne I'm going to see this movie. And Anne said, I would also like to see this movie.
I think I said, wouldst that we were in the same city. Because I had a similar journey. I think I saw it from another Substack, Kristen Lopez, who is a friend of the podcast. And also she writes under the Film Maven. And I've found that when she loves a movie, even if I don't know about it, I'm going to love it too. Like her viewpoint is very similar to mine. And I think it was her or maybe someone else who described this. It's like 12 Angry Men, but the Conclave. And I was like, well, I'm in.
12 Angry Popes. It's so good.
I'm in. And I was really excited about it. And then you saw it first.
Yes. And I was so worried that you wouldn't like it.
But do you remember how you described it to me? If not, I can bring up that message you sent me.
I don't, so please remind me what I said. I said a lot of things to a lot of people that night.
You said something like, the first part of the movie is just like bitchy men in robes being bitches, which is your genre. And then the final part of it, it suddenly pivots into suddenly a completely different movie, which is my genre.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, then I was even more excited about it because I knew that you liked it.
There was a specific point 2/3 of the way through, and we'll get to it, where I gasped aloud. I did the gay gasp in the theater, and then I said, oh, Anne's going to like this part.
Yeah. There was, I just want to describe to you my experience in seeing the movie. So I went to see it the weekend that Wicked opened. And I was like, is it going to be in the theater even? Because there's like 7,000 screenings of Wicked and Gladiator 2. But it was in the smallest of the theaters, which I think is good for a cozy conclave.
Papal thriller, sure.
And I was wearing like a hoodie with a front kangaroo pocket, which is important. So, you know, every time I say I started applauding, please know that my hands were in that pocket, muffling the sound.
That's so good to know.
So I was squirming, I was applauding, I was like shaking my fist, and it was so fun. Yeah, it was. I think at one point I whispered to my companion, like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. I think I whispered during the movie. So
yeah, I walked out of it and I said out loud, this is the best movie of all time. It's so good.
It was so good. It was, yeah. Okay, so I do want to say, because listeners to Vulgar Peace Theater will know intimately, that I don't usually watch, let alone enjoy, movies that are primarily about men all dressed the same.
Which is why I was worried about this movie for
Yeah. But I think we'll get into it. But there's a number of tropes that supersede that for me. But also afterwards, when I was talking about the movie with my companion, I was saying, like, it was all men dressed the same, but they all look very different. Like, facially, I never confused anyone with anyone. They were all, either it's like, oh, that's famous actor John Lithgow, or
right.
or oh, that's the Mexican guy. Like, everyone looked very, 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 very different, which I appreciate, because they were wearing the same outfit for the whole movie.
They all had distinguishing haircuts and glasses and vibes. Some of them even had distinguishing crucifixes, which I thought was neat. So
I liked,
lots of options.
I like that they all had distinguishing, like, different glasses, but also because the average age of the cast is, I think, 70. Like,
yeah.
It's like, these are people who need glasses. Like, why would the characters not have glasses?
Of course, they're cardinals. None of them can see.
No, they're all old, because, like, in real life, cardinals are old. When they choose a pope, the pope is so old. So this is a movie about the conclave. If you don't know what that is, listeners, that's when the pope dies and then all the cardinals come together, sequestered, and they have to vote on who's going to be the new pope. And it has to be like a majority. And to my delight, and I'm sure you know about this, in real life, they did the same thing in the movie as in real life. So they take a vote, and if the vote is inconclusive, like they don't know, then they send up gray smoke.
Yes.
And then people in the square are like in like Vatican, like in Rome, are like, boo, you didn't choose a pope. And then the next day, the gray smoke comes like, boo, no pope. And then when they choose a pope, then it's white smoke, and everyone's like, yay, pope.
I remember this happening when Pope Francis was elected pope, and I was in college, and it was like the first time a pope had ever resigned. And as me, a lover of papal drama, this was the best 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there watching, like, what's the smoke going to be? And I felt like a Renaissance peasant. It was so fun.
I love the smoke. I love that. I love the vibes of like mob, like the mob just in the square, just waiting for the smoke.
Like, say what you will about the Catholic Church, and this movie will say what it will about the Catholic Church, but like, bitches got drama, and I do appreciate that.
Oh my God, the smoke thing. I love it. I love it. I was trying to think of, like, again, I went there. I have to emphasize, like, the day that Wicked opened, and also Gladiator 2. And you know what? There was not like conclave-based popcorn bowls.
Which is such a shame.
Child's packs shaped like the Pope Mobile would be my suggestion. Little Pope Mobiles you could buy.
You could put popcorn in an upside-down Pope's hat. It's right there. Come on,
and then you could wear the Pope's hat. What are they thinking?
Why are we not in charge?
I don't know. I saw one of the Tits Up Brigade saw Gladiator 2 in a theater where they handed out giant oversized thumbs up, thumbs down hands. And I was like, that's great. But also, where's my oversized Pope hat to wear to this movie screening? And then I was thinking, like, is there a way that we could use the white smoke, the gray smoke to like name cocktails? You know, like.
Yes. I love
Or
this.
do one of those like, science experiment type cocktails where like a haze comes off
You
the
lift
drink.
up the thing and
And it's like, is there a Pope chosen or not? You don't know till you get your drink.
And then it turns out that you're the Pope. The best. Yes.
Oh,
Fantastic.
oh my God. So it's an amazing movie. What I have in front of me, I was telling Allison, is the Wikipedia summary, but we're gonna diverge from it a lot. But this is just to remind me what order things happen in, because like, again, this is not Vulgar Piece Theater. For Vulgar Piece Theater, we watch streaming movies. I take lengthy notes myself, but we just saw the
That
movie
would have
each
been
once.
incredible if you would come up in the movie theater for a second time with like a little tiny flashlight and your notes.
Just taking complete notes. Yeah. So this is a 2024 mystery thriller film directed by Edward Berger. And I was like, what else has he done? And can I watch those things? So he's the one who did the recent All Quiet on the Western Front movie. He's a German person.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's notable because the movie, it's very international, the cast. Like each of the cardinals is from a country, and generally speaking, the actors are from those countries too. So it's like, it's not 12 Angry Men where it's like 12 angry, famous Hollywood British actors. It's like 3 famous actors and a bunch of people who are famous in other countries. But I think that the fact that he was a German director, he was bringing a different sensibility than like a Hollywood or a British director might have done. And he did a fantastic job. It's based on a book I've not read, Conclave, by Robert Harris. I will say at my public library, I was like, got to make sure we have enough copies of Conclave, the book, because this is going to go bananas, I'm sure, with the elderly library crowd. And it has.
I'm so happy it has.
Yeah, but you know what? There's not large print. Is out of print because the book is too old. I'm like, we need large print Conclave for the elderly with sight problems.
This is one of those books that if it's not in large print, why even print this book? Like,
it's a big grandpa senior's home.
It's for
energy.
grandpas on vacation and me.
Yeah. And me, and also my mom, who is a Catholic woman who likes mysteries.
Yes.
Okay, so it's this fantastic movie. We'll explain who all the characters are. I mean, we're going to call them by their actor names almost entirely.
Yeah, I have no idea what anybody's name is.
So we always talk about the costume design, and in this I'm like, good job, comma, the costumes are just what cardinals wear.
Yes. No distracting costumes. It is what you expect to see.
Yeah, like I don't think there was a lot of room for the costume. I just want to look them up because we always showed her the costumer. But I think they were just like, dear the Vatican, can we rent some of your actual outfits? Great, thanks. This is what.
And I will say, like,
wear.
To their credit, there's some pretty fucking great outfits in the Catholic Church. They love a hat. Oh. They love a cape. It's wonderful.
The outfits are top tier. They are. And as they are in the Catholic Church. Let me just see. But, they had to just, I'm sure the costume, Lily, this is telling. Usually when we do a Vulgar Piece Theater, there's like a costume team. There's numerous names. Here it's just one person. It's like, yeah, because she just rented the Vatican outfit. So she's from Munich. Her name is Lissy Crystal. You know what she did costumes for? Anonymous, the movie about what if Shakespeare wasn't Shakespeare.
Ooh. Those costumes were great.
So I feel like
that's all I'll say about that movie.
She got to flex her, bona fides there. And then she also did costumes for another movie that I think everyone was wearing the same thing, All Quiet on the Western Front. So do you need her to do a costume drama? She can do it. You know what she did costumes for? 2016's Independence Day, Resurgence.
Huh.
She's got the goods. Lissy Crystal. Good job. I feel like this was like a easy job for you. She would have just had to research, what do they wear to Conclave? What do they wear to Mass? What hat? Can this guy wear this hat? It's a different hat. When a certain character enters, what cloak will he be swirling dramatically? But we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will.
Oh, gosh. It was just like, oh, what a good movie. Okay. So the movie starts with the Pope has died. And now I want to sidebar immediately and say, he looks 1,000 years old, the dead Pope.
This is the oldest fucking Pope anybody has ever seen.
And there's a part where a character says, I thought he'd outlive us all. And I was like,
did you?
That speaks not well of your vision, your understanding.
Well, that's why everyone was wearing their glasses, because they couldn't see the Pope was made of graham crackers and dust.
You know who said that was Ray Fiennes, and he only put on glasses to read because he was the main character. So maybe, anyway, when he was like, I thought he'd outlive us all, I'm like, sir, He is conservatively 110 years old. He thought you'd outlive
As
you.
every pope ever has always been.
None of the candidates this time are that old, though. They're
That
all,
is true.
Yeah. Okay. So the Pope has died. And so, like, a bunch of cardinals, I don't know, like the head cardinals, Ralph Fiennes enters the movie. Now, it took me a while to get used to this, but he's a good guy in this movie.
It's very disconcerting to see him play a good guy. I kept waiting for him to kill someone the whole time.
Yeah. I kept waiting. Like, people kept being like, oh, will you pray with me? And I'm like, he's going to be like, fuck you. He's like, of course. I'm like, oh, because he's a good guy.
That's right.
Ralph Fiennes,
he's an actor.
He's a good guy. So Ralph Fiennes, Colin, good guy. He shows up. He's like the dean. I don't know what that means, but it means that he's the manager of the eventual conclave.
He's the event planner of the Vatican, I think, which I love for him.
Sure.
He knows how to throw a party. He knows how to make sure all the doors are locked.
It's a real
He's in charge of the business.
David Rizzio energy. So he is one of the cardinals. So they go, like, the Pope is like literally lying dead in his like bed in his little dorm room. And so they come to see the dead Pope. And it's Ralph Fiennes is there. And then we meet, I think John Lithgow is there. And I think Stanley Tucci also there.
Yes.
Those are the people who are there. And they're just kind of like, oh my God, the Pope is dead. And now this is like, the comparison I always make to a movie that does this really well is Jurassic Park. Where at the beginning of Jurassic Park, they're like, here's the gates. Here's how the fences work. Here's how this works. So then partway through, when electricity goes out, you know everything, how it's going to go wrong because they've explained it to you. So here they show the Pope, and they take off the ring, and they seal the door with a wax seal. And like,
yeah, they do.
And I didn't think at that time that they were Jurassic Parking us, but they were, because later we returned to that room. But first I'm just like, wow, look at all these things. Look at all these things they have to do. They have to like get the ring off the dead Pope's finger and then like chisel the thing off in a complicated metal ring popping off tool. So the Pope is dead.
This is the part where Stanley Tucci is lurking outside of the office saying, do you think the Pope will mind if I take his chess set? Which is my favorite little moment of this movie.
I forgot about that. Yes, because he's like, the Pope and I used to play chess on this chess set. And Ralph Fiennes is like, I'm sure that's cool. I'm
sure if he wouldn't mind if you could take it. And I'm like, I bet you the Vatican minds if you just start stealing shit from the Pope's office, Stanley Tucci. But what the fuck do I know? Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. So we see that like the Pope is dead, and we glean that Stanley Tucci was like pals. He and the Pope were cool. Ralph Fiennes and the Pope, they were like friendly. And we slowly, like, you clearly understood more about conclave happenings, but I learned a lot. The movie explained it all really well, which is basically the next thing that happens effectively is like, we're having a conclave, which means all the cardinals from all around the world are all coming here for this meeting. And at first they're like, oh, I hope so-and-so doesn't come. They're like, oh, maybe he won't come. And then this bitch comes up in a cloak. This is, what's his name? The Italian one.
I refer to him as Dirtbag Cardinal. I don't know what the actor's name was, but he deserves an Oscar.
Tedesco is his name.
Yes.
Oh my God.
The character's name. Incredible.
Explain Tedesco's entrance in the like outdoor courtyard.
Every other cardinal who's shown up in this entry of the cardinal sequence is like, hello, I'm so sorry to hear about the death of the Pope. I'm so sorry. And then Tedesco comes up. His cloak is like 14 times as large as everybody else's cloak, and he's just barreling down the hallway of the Vatican. And if I remember correctly, he makes like a dirty joke and then smacks somebody for trying to take his suitcase.
Yeah, one of his like, he comes in like, everyone else just comes in like, hi, I'm so and so, but Tedesco comes in with his cloak, and then he has like two sort of like little minions next to him, and one of the minions is like, do you want me to take your suitcase? And the guy like hits the guy with the suitcase. And I'm like, oh, this guy is mean.
Oh, shitty cardinal. What a delight to have a dirtbag cardinal in a movie. It's all I ever asked for.
He's great. And Ralph Fiennes is like, oh, hey, Tedesco. Tedesco's like, ugh, everyone sucks, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be the Pope. I'm a fascist. And
I'm like, Italian, which is important for Pope reasons.
And I vape is his characterization.
He vapes threateningly.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls out a vape when he wants to create an aura of malaise. And God bless whoever's idea that was.
Oh my God. The guy, let me just see. The guy who plays Tedesco, because he was great. Afterwards, I was like, who are all these people? I'm so intrigued. So the actor is Sergio Castellitto, and he is an Italian film director, actor, and screenwriter. I'm just seeing if he's done any famous. Oh, let's see. He was in. He was the antagonist in the film The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian.
What?
Have
Do you know
seen
how
that?
many times I've seen The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian?
He plays King Miraz.
Wow. Wild. This is bringing me back to high school.
So he's got some, like, I feel like villain energy. I feel like based on these
Yes.
two roles, I think this is who you get to display a dirtbag. Oh my gosh. He began his theatrical career in Italian public theater in Measure for Measure. Then he was in
Of
Merchant
course he did.
Yeah.
The Shakespeare play with the worst possible Italian man in it.
Yeah.
That's 0% surprising.
He's fantastic. I want to say, like, a shared supporting actor Oscar for all of the men in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
A sentence Anne has never said before and will never say again.
No, but this is great. But again, like, every man in this movie is like at least 70 years old. And also, I do want to shout out the use of extreme close-ups of their faces a lot, and the fact that I don't think any of them are wearing any makeup. You see age spots, you see wrinkles, you see sagging skin, and I was like, this is refreshing.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also just like a beautifully shot movie. Like all of the scenes they do from like 20 meters above the ground, watching all of the cardinals move around like little game pieces on a chessboard. It's so good.
Oh, it's a beautiful looking movie. Yeah. And I also was thinking, like, the fact that all the actors, like, they're just wearing ropes. They're literally wearing like long dresses.
They must be so comfy.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Yeah. These actors, like, they don't have to like watch their diet or like whatever. It's just like, hey, here's your robe for the day. Like, great. Like, I'm just going to hang out in my robe.
Just
no makeup.
sashay around, wear a little hat, be a little bitch. This is my dream.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay. So the Cardinal, so this is where we're coming up to the first time I think I applauded.
This is like 20 minutes into the movie.
But what I want to say is, just so you understand, so everyone understands, like my favorite trope is a bunch of people are trapped somewhere. Like people are in a hotel and then there's a snowstorm and the phone line cuts out at a business retreat, or like
Didn't
people
this happen at the Agatha Christie estate like a couple of years ago?
People are trapped there. I was like, oh, why am I not there? So I love like, as soon as if any book is like, this is like, and then there were none. And I'm like, I don't need to read the rest of that sentence. I'm going to read this book because it's about people trapped somewhere and they start being killed. Now, this movie, people don't start being killed, but they're being killed.
They do start becoming not Pope. So,
which is for them is like dying. Yeah. Yeah. So as soon as they were like, okay, we're going to like close everybody off in the conclave, like you can't interact with the outside world. I was like, oh no.
Yep. It's time to sequester the College of Cardinals. Let's go.
And then even they're like, we don't want people to be like sending drones out to like look in the windows, so the windows are all covered. Like they're like could not be more sequestered.
There's a long sequence of like the dramatic like hurricane shutters coming down, shutting everybody in the Vatican. And I'm just imagining you just getting more and more excited with every window that closes.
Exactly. So the only places that they're allowed to go are like the room where they talk, where they do their voting. And then they like go on a little like shuttle bus back to their sort of like dormitory.
I love the shuttle bus. It looks like everybody on like a high school band trip. And I love it. I don't know if this is just an Italian thing.
No, this is like a real, the juxtaposition of these beautiful buildings. And like, I did read, they did not have permission to film in the Vatican.
Surprisingly.
But they did film in Rome. So these like beautiful architectural, like Renaissance buildings. And then they go back to their dorm and it's like, oh, I'm just going to make some Keurig coffee now. Like, I'm just going to use this photocopier. Like everything is so mundane. And the shuttle bus is the same.
Desktop computers. Just fantastic.
It's fabulous. Okay. So two crucial things happen before they're sequestered, and Ray finds the manager of the conclave is like, what the fuck? Because he can't investigate these things. We'll see how he does. The first thing is somebody is like, John Lithgow, who is also cardinal. They're like, he had a meeting with the Pope right before the Pope died, and I think the Pope fired him. for being a cardinal.
I spent the entire remaining 2 hours of this movie being like, John Lithgow killed the Pope. John Lithgow killed the Pope. I was waiting for Pope poison the whole time. I'm so sorry to the listeners. There is no Pope poison, but it's just as good.
Yeah. Well, no, I will say, I mean, if you've gotten this far, full spoilers for Conclave. Yeah, so that's the first thing. He's like, wait, what? John Lithgow was fired? And like, okay, we're sealing you in this room now. Bye.
He's like, wait, I have follow-up questions.
And the other, even more exciting thing is a surprise cardinal has arrived that no one knew existed.
Everybody is present, accounted for, has checked into their rooms. And then Ray Fiennes' like secretary comes up and he goes, there's another one. And I'm like, yes, there's another one.
I'm clapping in my hoodie pocket. Yeah.
What do you mean, secret cardinal?
Secret cardinal.
Yes.
So it turns out, and this is a real thing in the actual church. So the Pope can secretly make somebody a cardinal and then like not announce it publicly if for like safety reasons, like they don't want people knowing that there's this cardinal. What this movie did do, because this is an alternate reality, they said, okay, in our reality, when the Pope makes a secret cardinal, when that Pope dies, that secret cardinal is not a cardinal anymore. But in this movie, the now dead Pope made a rule saying like, my secret cardinals stay cardinals. So they do say that in the movie at some point. Anyway, so this guy shows up and they're like, who's this? And the whole thing is like, is he really a cardinal? Is he trying to infiltrate? Like, no one knows this person. And so I forget his name, Benitez. And so he is a Mexican person who is a missionary first. And then he works entirely like in war-torn areas.
Right. He's the unofficial cardinal of Afghanistan, I think.
Kabul.
Yeah.
He's the cardinal of Kabul. And that's why they didn't announce it, because it would have been dangerous if anyone knew that there was cardinal in Kabul. So he's this like, we can talk about this when we get to it, but I'll piecemeal give you some information about the actor who played this role. Do you know anything about the actor who played this role?
No, I didn't think to look it up, and now I'm incredibly curious.
Well, he lives in Canada.
There you go.
Which means that our entire country is like, our guy. So there's a lot of information about him on Canadian broadcasting. He is from Mexico. He moved to Canada, I think, 14 or 15 years ago. He is by trade an architect. This is his first ever acting job.
Yay, good for him. He did so good.
Yeah, right?
I didn't mean that to sound patronizing. I just genuinely did not expect that.
Yeah, no, so exactly.
And
so
he brings really great energy to this movie of somebody who doesn't quite know what's going on and is trying to figure it out. So actually, like, that's great.
Yeah, no, exactly.
He's never been a cardinal before. He doesn't know what's going on. He's not John Lithgow.
Exactly. And I think part of his thing too is like just from hearing him talk, but I'm like, oh yeah, because his character was like boots on the ground. Like he was like a missionary guy, whatever. Like he's never put on a cardinal's robe before. So he's uncomfortable. This is not how he usually presents himself. He's in this place where no one knows him. He doesn't know anybody. Yeah. So this architect, Carlos Diaz, he lives in Vancouver in Canada, and he, like around 2020, he became an empty nester. Like his kids graduated and left home. And he's like, when I was younger, I wanted to join the drama club at school, but I was too shy. And then it was like COVID, and there's so much acting stuff happening in Vancouver. There's so much filming there. So a lot of acting coaches went online because they had to like keep their business going. So he started taking online acting classes in COVID. And then he got an agent. And then I think he was cast in like maybe a couple student films, but he said he's been for 60 auditions. He didn't get any role. And then his agent was like, I got the script and I think you'd be perfect for this part. And he's like, wow, this is a good script. I'm like, yeah, it's the script for Conclave. I don't know what
the perfect film ever. Come on, let's go.
I don't know what like Hallmark scripts have been turning him down, but like, he was like, yeah, I could really connect to this character. Because like Carlos Diaz, he wanted to be a priest when he was younger. So like he connects with that. And so I think his outsider energy brings an unquantifiable thing. Because it's like Ray Fiennes, John Lithgow, Stanley Tucci, like this Italian guy, like all these very established actors. And then, so when you read about how the other actors were like, wait, you're an architect? This is your first movie? And they were so welcoming and kind and gave him pointers and like explained things to him. And they like really loved helping him out. And when they left, after filming in Rome, they were like, so what are you going to do now? He's like, well, I need to go back to my job as an architect. They're like, you're going back to your job as an architect? He's like, well, that's my job. I don't know. I don't have another acting job lined up. He's great. And
I love him.
I assumed that he was like the most famous actor from Mexico. Like I didn't know who he was. The same way there's a character who we'll talk about who's like from Nigeria, and he's like a famous Nigerian actor.
I do love that every other actor and actress, we'll get to the actress later in this movie, they are chewing the scenery so delightfully. And then Benitez is like, no. I'm going to play straight down the middle for this character, which is perfect. It's exactly what he needs to do.
No, Benitez was so perfect. He said there was the actor was saying like in one scene, he felt like Ray Fiennes was really watching him like off camera while he was acting. And then afterwards, Ray Fiennes was like, I see now. I see why they cast you. Like you are Benitez.
I would have died on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, goodbye. This is my life now.
There's another story he said where Ray Fiennes told him it's like, it's so important as an actor to really know your lines, to know the script really well and then to enunciate, because it's up to you so that the audience, like every word is important. You want to make sure that they understand every word. And Carlos Diaz is like, yeah. So he's like practicing between every take, enunciating. And then they did this scene together. And afterwards, Ray Fiennes was like, good job.
Yes.
And he's like, oh my God. When we get to it later, he has a speech, and I'll tell you how John Lithgow like got him through that speech. But so I want to rewatch the movie now, just knowing that this guy is just this like Canadian architect.
So cute. I'm excited for him. Good job, man.
Okay. So these are the two twists. Like the conclave is being sealed off. Everyone's trapped in this room. And the two things that Ray finds are fucking up his mind is like, was John Lithgow secretly fired? And who is this surprise new cardinal? What's happening? But this is where we learn. So this is how Wikipedia breaks it down. So it'd say there's 4 main candidates for Pope. Like, I don't know how many cardinals there are, but
I don't either. 200 something? I don't know.
There's a lot. So the 4 main candidates for Pope are Stanley Tucci, his name is Bellini, and he
232 cardinals. I'm so proud of myself.
233 with Benitez.
That's very true. I also need you to know that I was Googling this, and the first answer was something like 250,000, but that was how many cardinals are there in the U.S., like the bird, which was not the question I was asking.
Yeah, it didn't seem like 250,000. So Stanley Tucci is Bellini, and he is sort of the like centric. No, he's like
he's a neoliberal Pope candidate.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to overthrow the entire Vatican, but maybe we can stop actively like committing genocides and hating the gays. Like, he's for the Vatican, he's very liberal.
Yeah. He's like, there's a scene where he's like, here's what I stand for. He's like, I want common sense stuff about like gay people and like divorce and stuff that I'm like, okay, this would be like very revolutionary if a pope was actually like this. But Stanley Tucci's whole thing, he's like, but I don't even want to be the pope. I don't even want to be the pope, he says.
He says a lot of times how much he doesn't want to be the pope. Which, like, okay, because technically you're not supposed to want to be the pope to be the pope. That's like the whole thing. You elect the guy who doesn't want it. But that's why I love papal drama so much, because everybody wants it. Yeah. And so they're lying to themselves and to everybody else, and they're perfect.
So Stanley Tucci, it's like he seems to have become sort of the choice for this faction. The sort of like, it's kind of like anyone but Tedesco faction.
Because yes, he is the Kamala Harris of the Conclave.
Yeah. Because Tedesco, it's like if Tedesco becomes the Pope, he's going to like reverse everything. He's going to bring us back to like Spanish Inquisition times. Like he's just like we don't let this fascist be the Pope. He vapes and he's clearly evil. Like that's not good for like, the PR of us, the Vatican.
No, that's a much worse sequel to Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, which is Don't Let the Fascist Become the Pope.
Yeah,
not as popular.
Absolutely, and I think this movie is so popular that book is going to be published probably. So we've got Bellini. Then there's Adeyemi, who is a Nigerian candidate.
And who is a fucking joy to watch on screen for every moment of this movie.
Okay, this guy, Lucian Misamati. Oh, he's British.
Okay.
But he's been in everything. Oh my gosh. I mean, this is a play, not a movie that any of us can see, but you know who he played on stage in 2017? Salieri in Amadeus.
Oh my, yeah, he did. I would watch that so hard.
Yeah. So let me see. So he is born in London. He was brought up in Zimbabwe by Tanzanian parents. So he's got connection to Zimbabwe. Anyway, he's done so much, all the stage acting, all the...
He brings a really wonderful stage actor energy to this role where he's playing the back of the theater, and it's great.
Oh, and you know what? In 2015, he became the first Black actor to play Iago.
Oh, cool.
In the Royal Shakespeare Company production of Othello. And
He'd
you know
be fucking
why?
great at that too.
I know. I would never cast him as Othello. I cast him as Iago.
No.
Yeah.
No. I don't trust that. Absolutely not. I want him to scheme.
Oh my gosh. He's so good. So he's done stage work. He's done television work. I'm just seeing what he's done. Like every actor, he was in The Hollow Crown, the Shakespeare series.
Right.
I need to watch that again. The Bishop of Carlisle. I don't know.
Oh, one of those. Yeah. All right.
He was in Richard II. The one that I like. The one that you don't like.
Yeah. Not that I don't like. I just have other preferences.
Oh, yeah. No, I like Richard II and Henry VI, which puts me in the minority.
Right. Henry VI is the one I don't like because Henry VI is a terrible play. But that's not the point of our Pope podcast today.
No, anyway, he was on Game of Thrones. He played Salador San. I remember him. He was, yeah. I think he's like a pirate guy. Anyway, he's been in every British TV show, obviously. He's in His Dark Materials. He's great. So he plays Adeyemi, Lucien Misamati, like, again, co-best supporting actor.
Co-best supporting actor, yes.
Yeah, so how would you describe Adeyemi's vibe?
His vibe is he is so friendly to everybody. Everybody he sees, it's the most exciting person he's ever met. And you know the second they turn around, he's going to stab them in the back with a pencil. I love that kind of character so much because he's got the friendliest face in the world. And I'm like, oh, I don't trust that man.
Oh, he's so great. And then the other option is Tremblay, played by John Lithgow, a Canadian cardinal.
You can take John Lithgow. It's fine.
No, I'm going to take Benitez because he lives in Canada.
Right.
Anyway, so John Lithgow is there. And so how would you describe the difference between him and Bellini? Like they're both not Tedesco, right?
That is correct. I got to tell you, I forgot that John Lithgow's character had a name that wasn't John Lithgow. So you said that. I'm like, who the fuck is that?
John Lithgow is what we'll call him, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
He is, if Stanley Tucci is like 30 degrees left of center, I would say John Lithgow is straight exactly down the middle, 0% anywhere, and is just, he's your grandpa. But it's the energy he's trying to put out there is, oh, I'm just here for the good of the church and for my friends, and I want nothing and I believe nothing, and isn't this all a tragedy?
But it's John Lithgow in dramatic actor mode, so you're like,
yes.
Are you the most evil of everybody with your friendly face, John Lithgow?
You're
so these are
casually making yourself an espresso, and I feel like you're killing somebody while you're doing it.
Oh my god! The way that he like goes to the Keurig machine, he's like, "Do you want a coffee?" And then he pushes down the
don't accept that coffee.
I'm just like, a Keurig machine has never been so threatening.
Oh my god.
Okay, so these are the people who want to be these are the front runners to be Pope, right?
Yep.
Let's see. So before the first vote, so Ralph Fiennes, who again is a good character in this. And you know what? Bravely, we see his receding hairline and mega close up so many times. Every time they put the hat on and off, I was like, I like seeing a receding hairline. You never see a receding hairline. No one, people are either bald, like completely bald, like Stanley Tucci or like The Rock, or they have like hair plugs or a wig. I'm just like, you know
he's
what?
Just like, no, and it's so perfect for the kind of person he's being in this movie, which is just a little bit overworked and a little bit put upon, and he doesn't have time to go do anything with his hair because there is a conclave to be managed.
And the whole thing with Ralph Fiennes' character, too, is he tried to quit being a cardinal before the Pope died because he wants to go and just like be like a small town priest and just like live a quiet life. But for some reason, the Pope was like, no, I need you to stay. And Ralph Fiennes come to realize it's because the Pope
I'm the best papal detective in the world.
because he needs someone to do some snooping around, which he's going to do very soon. So let's see. So what do we learn? Okay, so Ralph Fiennes gives a sermon to like all the cardinals.
Like the opening day blessing for the conclave. Like, let's go get them popes.
And I think he starts off with his like prepared statement, which is like in Latin. There's a lot of Latin spoken in this movie, which I feel like you probably found personally very satisfying.
I did, and I liked when they put the subtitles up, and I'm like, oh, I know that one word. Oh, I know that one word over there too. That was nice.
And it actually was cool because the movie is so international, like the cast and also the characters. Like people, like Ray finds when he's talking to Tedesco, they talk in Italian. Like people are changing languages a lot, like the actual cardinals and like the actual Pope does, like in the world. My mother, again, a Catholic woman, was telling me that Pope John Paul II, who was the Pope for like most of the 80s, he spoke like, I don't know, 45 languages or something. And it was like his party trick. He would like go and do a speech and he would like pivot languages so many times just to kind of show that he could. But his past, Pope John Paul II, my mother told me, was he was an actor before.
Was he really?
So he had the dramatic flair of the Vatican, I think, agreed with him.
He must have loved that.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's going to give this prepared speech, but instead he's like, you know what, cardinals, embrace doubt, embrace uncertainty. And everyone's like, or
the Catholic Church, perhaps we shouldn't do that.
Yeah. So everyone's like, what are you? And then, okay, so every day, Ray Fiennes gets to meet with his like secretary. I don't know.
I refer to him as his spy master for this whole time. He's going out and getting a little information.
Yeah. So every day Ray Fiennes is like, okay, like I need to go be in the conclave sealed off, but like, could you go like investigate this? And the next day he's like, ooh, can you go investigate this now? So he's got this guy who can kind of like his man on the scene is able to like go. All the other cardinals can't interact with anyone in the outside world, but because Ray Fiennes is the like party planner, he gets to like talk with this guy.
And I love this little secretary guy because the first time he's asked to like go do a little snooping, he's like, Monsignor, are you sure? A snoop? Me? And by like 40 minutes into the movie, he's like, who do you want me to snoop on, boss? Let's go.
Yeah.
Gets so into it.
There's so much snooping to do. So well, at first, like the surprise cardinal comes up, Benitez, and he's like, can you just find out like what the fuck? And so this guy is like, here's what I've learned. Benitez was close to the former Pope. The former Pope paid for Benitez's plane ticket to Switzerland for a medical appointment that was later canceled. So just bear that in mind. But also, before the first vote, Ray Fiennes goes to John Lithgow and is like, and this is where they have their Carrie coffee scene. And he's like, so I heard that you were fired by the Pope. And
John Lithgow goes, me? Fired? I could never have been fired. Heavens.
Yeah. And Ray Fiennes is like, okay.
I guess I'll go now. That's okay. Ray Fiennes is doing some really good snooping, but I gotta tell you, this was not the move here to go into his office and be like, hey, excuse me, I heard you secretly got fired and aren't telling anybody. True? False? Like, what did you expect, my guy?
Yeah. Well, and this is, like the snooping guy gets used to snooping, Ray Fiennes gets better at investigating.
He does. He gets much better.
The more he realizes that like
training wheels.
Everyone has a secret and you can't just like confront them immediately. Okay, so they have the first vote. And the first vote, it's like you need to have a 2/3 majority. At this point, Adeyemi is ahead, and a bunch of people voted for Ray Fiennes. And he's like, oh no, as much as Stanley Tucci is like, I don't want to be the Pope, Ray Fiennes is like, no, I don't even want to be a cardinal. Like I
want to be here.
I super don't want to be the Pope. So, but that like
my speech was too good was the problem.
Yeah. So it's a vote split between Bellini and Lawrence.
He was the surprise third party candidate and no one wanted that. It's like, oh no, I'm Jill Steining the conclave. I have to stop.
Yeah. And then Benitez gets like one vote, which is interesting. Anyway, so the different votes all come out and then they're like, okay, gray smoke. The mob outside is like, boo, choose a Pope. But then also, of course, Tedesco gets votes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the like liberal faction, they're like, okay, we need to, we can't split the vote like Lawrence, like Ray Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, Like we need to all go behind somebody just so we can beat Tedesco. So I think we all need to support Adeyemi. And Bellini is like, that guy, like he's like super conservative. He's like super homophobic. And they're like, yeah, but he'd be the first black pope. So like, that's cool.
And he's not a literal fascist. So
and he doesn't vape. So
and he doesn't vape. Very important.
Yeah. Okay. So then, like, and this is like at the beginning, I've thought this was so good. Like Stanley Tucci, your close personal friend, but we don't need to get into that.
A person who I have emailed someone who has emailed someone who has spoken to him one time. Yes, my close personal friend.
Stanley Tucci gave an interview where they said, what role would you like to play you haven't played? And he said, oh, I like to play Fagin in Oliver Twist. And that is, of course, what Allison's book is about. So
we're best friends, and he's going to give me $10 million and let me visit his Italian villa.
Yeah.
We've decided.
And he'll cook for you. So,
I wish he would cook for me.
So your close personal friend, Stanley Tucci, he's like, he pivots immediately because at first he's like, oh, I don't want to be the Pope. I don't want to be the Pope. And then as soon as Ray Fiennes gets votes, Stanley Tucci's like, how dare you? You want to be the Pope. And he's so mad. It's like, oh, you wanted to be the Pope.
You wanted to be Pope, Stanley Tucci. You wanted it so bad.
And he's like, so Ray Fiennes, what's your Pope name going to be? Have you thought of your Pope name? And Ray Fiennes is like, no, because I don't want to be the Pope. And Stanley Tucci's like, bullshit. Everyone wants to be the Pope. I'm like, Stanley Tucci, 10 minutes ago, you were like, no, I don't want to be the Pope.
Everyone wants to be the Pope. You want to be the Pope. It's not the same thing.
Okay. And then this is where, so Sister Shanumi, who is, so actually, no. So the nuns are on the scene. The nuns have been on the scene. We saw them arriving. The head nun is Isabella Rossellini, goddess.
Perfection.
So the nuns are on the scene and their job is kind of like behind the scenes housekeeping. Like they lay out the like shaving kits for everybody and they like make the tortellinis.
There's a lot of nuns making pasta footage in this movie, which is, as a Stregonona girly, I enjoyed a lot.
Making the tortellinis, I was like, wow, making tortellinis.
It's Rossellini making tortellinis. It was
Rossellini tortellinis. Yeah, so the nuns are there and their job is just to kind of like be invisible and be in the background and just kind of like make everything go cool for the conclave dudes.
Right, because they couldn't bring in like a catering company. They're sequestered. It's the Vatican. You need someone you can trust.
So it has to be the nun. So one of the nuns who's on the scene is this Nigerian nun named Sister Shanumi. And she causes a stir by confronting Adeyemi in the cardinal's dormitory. And then they have like a run-in at like in the cafeteria, her and Adeyemi, that ends with her like running off, Sister Shanumi. And Ray Fiennes is like, what's going on? So then Sister Shanumi went to see Isabella Rossellini, and which is great. There's the scene where Ray Fiennes comes up and Isabella Rossellini opens the door like 2 inches and she's like, I got this handled. Don't worry about it. Go away. And Ray
he's
Fiennes
like, it's my conclave. I would like to handle it. And she closes the door like another half inch and says, no, really, I got it. Please leave. It's
so good. So then he comes in and he's like, I need to talk to Sister Shanumi. And then we don't see them talking to each other. But what we learn that he was told is that Sister Shanumi, she had an illicit relationship with Adeyemi 30 years ago, resulting in, like back in Nigeria, resulting in the birth of a son. So Adeyemi has a secret son. And this is where I was like, how old is anyone? I was like, wait.
30 years ago.
How old is Sister Shanumi? I'm like, so it's not, he didn't just have a son. Like 30 years ago, they had this affair and they had this son.
I think it was implied that she's a lot younger than he is.
And yet,
like she was like 17 or 18 at the time.
Yeah. But she's now 47
yeah.
and he's 70 or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so, but basically when the Pope can't have a son, this is not
anymore.
This is not
no big deal.
The Borgias.
No.
Yeah.
I did do a little gasp at this part of the movie too. I was like, oh, a cardinal with a son, just like the Renaissance.
Yeah. So bring that all back. Anyway, so Ray Fiennes learns about this and he's like, Isabella Rossellini is like, no, she's not going to talk to you. She's not going to talk to you. And then Ray Fiennes is like, do you want to give a confession, my child? But then it's like when you learn something in confession, like you can't tell anybody, you can't tell the police, you can't tell anybody. Like that's the whole thing with confession. But Ray Fiennes now knows. Anyway, so he goes to talk to Adeyemi and is like, bro, like,
I heard something, and I can't tell you what it is or how I heard it, but is there anything weighing on your mind that you'd like to tell me?
and Adeyemi's like, no, everything is totally cool, totally chill. I got a lot of votes in the conclave, and I'm just gonna go to dinner now. Do do do. And Ray Fiennes is like, are you though? And he basically is like, look, like Adeyemi is like, it's a great scene. The actor, great job. He's like, I was young and I made a mistake and like whatever, and like I'm not that guy anymore. And Ray Fiennes is like, yeah, regardless, like you were seen like having dramatic confrontations with this nun twice. So even if there wasn't a secret love child, like this discounts you to be the Pope. Like you're not going to be the Pope.
You know what the Catholic Church doesn't want in the Pope right now is the sex scandal. So yeah, you're out, but I'm so sorry.
But Adeyemi is like, oh, this sucks. Like, will you pray with me? And this is where I was like, and Ray Fiennes is like, of course. I'm like, oh, he's a good person. Interesting. But he also deduces, with the help of Isabella Rossellini, that Shinumi had never left Nigeria before being personally invited to come be at the conclave. So it's like, this was clearly a setup. Somebody wanted her there to cause this confrontation. And I think this wasn't in the summary, which is a failure on Wikipedia's part, but there are turtles at the Vatican.
This is so important to the movie. And maybe not to the movie, but to me. It's very important to me.
And there's the scene with Benitez, the surprise Mexican cardinal, and he's just hanging out with the dead Pope's turtles.
Yeah, and he's just like, I just like them. And Ray Fiennes is like, sometimes I have to bring him back into the pool because they'll wander out into the road and get hit by a car. And I'm like, what's happening in this scene?
And they just have this nice scene. And then Benitez is like, yeah, just so you know, Ray Fiennes, like, I voted for you in the conclave. And Ray Fiennes is like, please don't. Like, I don't want to be Pope. And this is going to, like, if you keep voting for me, like, Tedesco might win. And Benitez is like, yeah, but you're supposed to vote for who you think would be the best Pope. And I'm going to keep voting for you because I'm Benitez and I am a very straightforward, upfront person. But yeah, the turtles, I was like, oh no, I believe it was my companion I saw the movie with, was like, they're surprised there wasn't a scene of like Tedesco kicking a turtle. Just to really remind everybody that he sucks. Because he would. Oh,
he sure would.
You know what he would do? He'd be like, boil those turtles, make me a soup. I want turtle soup.
He sure would.
And then he'd like pour it on someone's head. So that's the first drama. So Adeyemi is now out of the running. But then also, now that Adeyemi can't be the like liberal candidate against Tedesco, so they're like, I guess they have this secret meeting that was very like all the president's men.
Is
like
this the one on the 3 levels of the staircase?
Yeah. It was very like Democratic National Convention vibes.
It was. This was when you're picking Warren G. Harding to be president. This was like, what should we do? I don't know. Who do you think we can do it? Well, let's just plot louder in the shadows and see if anyone notices.
Yeah. And it's like Stanley Tucci, Ray Fiennes, and I forget who else, but they're like, we can't, Stanley Tucci's not going to win. They know that. Ray Fiennes doesn't want to win. Adeyemi's out of the running. They're like, I guess we have to support John Lithgow. And
Ray Fiennes is like, God damn it.
But like, this is the only way to block Tedesco. And then, so there's a scene with Isabella Rossellini and her like ancient dial-up modem computer. Where Ray Fiennes is like, can you tell me who sent Sister Shinumi? Like, why is she here? And Isabella Rossellini is like, she's so good. I saw somewhere she had something like 7 minutes of screen time, but she's like in the conversation for Best Supporting Actress because it's like, that's all she needs.
7 minutes they were. It was great.
Her facial expressions are iconic. It's beautiful.
Incredible. She is like, so much smarter than everybody there. And she's just like, do I have to spell it out for you, you fucking men? Okay, sure. Figure it out.
So this is where Ray Fiennes is like, please, can you tell me this information? She's like, no, I can't tell you the information. Then she like puts on her reading glasses and she's like, types in her computer password and then like walks out of the room so he can like look at the files on her computer.
Do you know who she reminds me of in this movie?
Who?
Is Sister Michael from Dairy Girls.
I have not watched Dairy Girls.
You would love Dairy Girls, but just a bitch and ass nun who doesn't give a damn.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
She's Isabella Rossellini is fantastic in this film. And so from this, Ray Fiennes learns that John Lithgow arranged for Sister Shinui to come to the Vatican. And he's like, what the fuck? But he doesn't, to his credit, go to John Lithgow to be
And
like,
ask, hey, why did you do this? He's learning. The
Wait,
schemes are getting, that his scheminess score is going up as we progress through this film.
Oh, but then there's also the scene, this was not in the summary, but I just remember because this was another applause, chuckling to myself scene, was where Ray Fiennes meets with his outside spy master. Because he's like, so when John Lithgow met with the dead Pope, there was like another guy in the room. And Ray Fiennes is like, go find that other guy and see what he says. Like, will he say that John Lithgow was fired? And so the spy master comes back and he's like, I talked to that other guy. And he said like, no, John Lithgow was totally not fired. And then he's like, but he said it kind of too emphatically. And he also said, don't worry about what it says in the report. He wasn't fired. And Ray Fiennes is like, what report?
What report? And we were both like, there's a report. There's going to be paperwork-based drama. Let's go.
This is me clapping inside my hoodie again. It's like in a murder mystery where you confront the person who did it and you're like, did you kill this person? They're like, no, I don't even know how to use a gun. And it's like, I didn't tell you that they were shot. Yeah, exactly. So the guy was like, no, he totally wasn't fired. And I don't know anything about it.
That report's a lie. Was it?
So this leads us to the most iconic scene in the movie.
This is the one where I applauded.
Ray Fiennes breaks into the dead Pope's room.
And literally he has to go up. Remember, they sealed it in that opening Jurassic Park scene. And so there's a big old red ribbon with an old-timey wax seal on it. And Ray Fiennes stops and he looks at it. And the music gets more and more dramatic. And he looks at the seal. And then he snaps the seal like a communion wafer and walks into the Pope's bedroom. And I am losing my shit in the back of the theater.
Oh my God. I was losing my mind too, like a scene or two earlier, I think when the spy master had found some secrets and he's like, what do you want to snoop on next, boss? And Ray Fiennes is like, let's just stop snooping. This is like, I don't like learning all these secrets. Stop snooping. And I was like, no.
Keep snooping.
More secrets. So then that made it even more excited when he was like, I have to go into the Pope's room. And then Allison, who comes down the hallway.
Is this Isabella Rossellini who watches him sneak into the Pope's bedroom and absolutely the fuck knows that someone's in the Pope's bedroom, and Ray Fiennes is hiding behind the door in the shadows trying not to breathe like he's in Scooby-Doo? And Isabella Rossellini looks, she's like, I know someone's in there. However, it's none of my business. And she turns around and walks away.
The face acting she does, like that's her Academy Award right there. Just her standing outside that door and Ray Fiennes being like, I'm invisible. No one can see me if I close my eyes. Oh,
it's the Velociraptor from Jurassic Park.
Exactly. So he's in the Pope's room and he's just like, what do I see?
And it just occurred to me now that, of course, she knows it's him. She's like, oh, good. He's going to figure it out. Great. I don't have to go break in there myself and tell him. Good for you, Ray Fiennes. Carry on. She walks away.
Oh my gosh. So he's like, here's the Pope's robes. It's like, what book is on his nightstand? And then he like sees the Pope's glasses.
What book do you think is on the Pope's bedstand, friends? What book do you think it is?
Could it be the Bible?
It was, in fact, the Bible. I think it would have been great if it was something else. Anyway.
Silence of the Lambs.
The new James Patterson.
So he sees the Pope's glasses and he like cries. And it's like, because that was like his friend and he feels like the Pope died and it wasn't on the best terms because Ray Fiennes was trying to quit and he wasn't allowed to quit. And we now know the Pope didn't want him to quit because the Pope was like, I need this guy to run my conclave. Like no one else.
This guy is the Hercule Poirot of the Vatican. We cannot get rid of him. He's too good at snooping.
Exactly. Well, it's like the only people who are not shitty in all of the Vatican are like Isabella Rossellini, Ray Fiennes, and Secret Cardinal. Like everybody else is shitty. And so the Pope is like, I need you to run this conclave, bro. And then take it away, Allison.
And he's holding the glasses. She's crying. He looks over at the headboard of the Pope's bed, the bed that the Pope died in. And behind like the headboard padding in the wood, there's a little white something sticking out. And he looks away and then he looks back at it and he goes, what is that? And I lost my mind because then he starts to pry it out like a little secret cabinet inside of the dead Pope's headboard. And what is it but the secret John Lithgow report?
Behind the
Cinema
headboard. I was losing my goddamn mind. I was so excited at the secret report behind the Pope's headboard.
This was my Super Bowl. This was incredible feeling.
And it was the John Lithgow report.
It was the John Lithgow report. His in the bed.
The Pope met with John Lithgow, presumably in his bed, with this report. And then John Lithgow left, and Pope was like, just gonna put this here. I'm dead now. Yeah.
And it's stamped with a big old red secret report logo on the front. Like it's a Carmen Sandiego video game. It's perfect.
Yeah. And it's the John Lithgow report. Right. So then he goes and he confronts John Lithgow, and he's like, bro, before this, he had confronted John Lithgow about the sending Sister Shanumi.
Yes.
Sorry, before this, in the hallway. And this is where I was like, John Lithgow is 10 feet tall. My God.
He's so tall.
He's incredibly
Ray
tall.
Fiennes is not short.
Yeah. So they have this scene in a hallway where Ray Fiennes, again, is just kind of like, John Lithgow, you pretend to be a friendly grandpa, but you clearly sent Sister Shanumi. And John Lithgow is like, I only did that because the Pope asked me to do that. I don't know why the Pope wanted me to do that. And then he's like, and you have to vote for me because otherwise Tedesco will win. So that's where it's at, bro. And
if he could have skateboarded away, he would have skateboarded away. And that's
one of them says to the other one, let's pretend this conversation didn't happen. And the other one is
that's what John Lithgow says. And Ray Fiennes looks into the distance and he says, but it did happen.
Yes. And then he goes and breaks into the Pope's room. Yeah, that's what it was.
That's right. Oh, God.
Okay, so now he's got the report, right? But it's but he got it by breaking into the Pope's room, which is you're not supposed to do.
Right.
Let's see. And then he goes and he's like, Stanley Tucci, oh my God, look at this report I found in the Pope's secret headboard.
And Stanley Tucci's like, what the fuck were you doing in the Pope's room, my guy?
And so what the report says is basically that John Lithgow was bribing cardinals to vote for him.
Right. Simony, which is the oldie-timiest of oldie-time crimes. And they're just, this is my favorite kind of exposition where Ray Fiennes is like, simony, when you bribe votes in the Curia to make yourself Pope. And Stanley Tucci is like, I know what simony is. Oh, yeah, but most of the grandpas in the audience don't, so thanks for explaining it.
Yeah, I didn't know. It's like on Star Trek when they're like, so what you're saying is this alien species doesn't breathe oxygen. Yes, of course.
Of course, everyone knows that.
Yeah, so John Lithgow has been doing simony. He's not the friendly grandpa that no one actually thought he was. Anyway, but this is just another twist on twist because Ray Fiennes goes and he's like, Stanley Tucci, oh my God, what'd you do? And Stanley Tucci's like, bro, guess what? I agreed to support John Lithgow because he's going to make me Secretary of State or whatever.
Secretary of Pope.
I don't know. So, sidebar, in the Caroline of Brunswick book that I'm writing, she goes to Rome. And so in a lot of these scenes, I was picturing Caroline of Brunswick in all these rooms. I'm like, what would she be doing? She'd be wearing a hat with a feather and she'd be amazing.
She'd be doing simony, probably.
She probably would be. As would Christine of Sweden, who also spent a lot of time in Rome. I was just like, Rome, that's where my gals go.
Catalina de Erauso was in Rome, remember? She got a dispensation for pants.
The pants from, you know what? Yeah. The Pope gave her Tedesco wouldn't have done that.
He would not have.
Stanley Tucci would have. But so as much as Stanley Tucci was like, oh, I don't want to be the Pope. Now he's just like, oh yeah, no, I'm actually corrupt as well. Yeah. And
he does look like he feels a little bit bad about it.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, Stanley Tucci was presenting himself as being this oh no, I'm just this sunshine and flowers, friendly guy. And he's like, no, I'm actually just as corrupt as everyone else. Meanwhile, Benitez actually is that pure and good. He actually is what Stanley Tucci was initially pretending he was like. And so Ray Fiennes is just like, fuck this, everybody's corrupt. Oh my God, it's yeah, welcome to the Vatican.
The Vatican. My God, have you heard of the Catholic Church? And this is why they didn't let them film in the Vatican.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But oh yeah, no, I was going to say.
Is this my favorite office supply based betrayal that's coming up soon?
Yes. But first, I just wanted to say, when we were talking about you're going to be the Secretary of Pope or whatever the jobs are, there's a part in the Caroline of Brunswick saga where it's like this guy who was the papal ambassador to Hanover. And I'm like, does that need to exist? Do we need an ambassador in the Vatican from do we need any ambassadors in the Vatican? What are these? It's not really a country, bro. Like, what are we doing?
They used to go to war with people, which was great. But yeah, in Carolina Brunswick's day, it's sort of not happening anymore.
Yeah, I'm like, and that's why in this movie, they're like, yeah, you could be Secretary of State. And I was like, Secretary of State of Vatican? But I'm like, oh no, it is like a country that's like, I don't entirely understand, but I feel it's like in the middle of Rome. It's not.
Yeah, it's like a mile and a half wide. It's classic Italian. We don't know what a country is, so we're going to make it up.
But it's like in Rome.
Yeah. City-state. Inside of a city, inside of another state.
Yeah. Okay, bro. So Santucci's like, we need to support John Lithgow because no one else can defeat Tedesco, who's still just around there just like vaping evilly, just so you remember that he sucks.
He's got like a chalice of red wine in his hand at all times, and he's always talking a little bit too loudly. It's really great.
He's so good. And that was where I was thinking, like, again, in terms of like movie theater tie-ins, it's like you want to go into the like adult, the theater where you can get like booze to drink. It's like what I want is a chalice of red wine.
Yes.
And to watch this movie.
Because I would swirl it at dramatic points. It would be perfect.
It would be amazing. And they could keep the chalice because it would be sort of like Conclave themed.
Conclave.
So
that's the only thing I think this movie would have benefited from is every time someone got knocked out of the running to be Pope, a big old like bum bum conclave on the screen. You got conclaved. I think that would have been a good addition.
Like in a video game, just like knocked out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yes, this is the office supply based scene, which is also very similar, if you think about it, to the climax of Cruel Intentions. Because what happens is Ray finds this in Isabella Rossellini's like office, and he's like trying to figure out the photocopier to make copies of the like John Lithgow's.
And he's just like report. Standing in his cardinal robes with his little red velvet hat on, and he's trying to make photocopies of the report to keep saying like paper jam. And I'm like, oh, this is so. As someone who works in an office with people who are Ray Fiennes' age, that's extremely true.
And then, like, I would imagine you in the office, Isabella Rossellini comes up. She's like, how many copies do you need?
No, but what she does first is she opens the lid, sees that it's the secret John Lithgow report, and then she closes the lid and says, how many copies do you need? I'm like, yes.
And Ray Fiennes is like 233 or whatever.
233. One I'm taking home as a souvenir.
Yeah. So they print off, just like at the end of Cruel Intentions, when they print off Sarah Michelle Gellar's evil diary, they make photocopies of the report, and then is it Isabella Rossellini? Like they put one at everybody's place for like breakfast in the cafeteria. So there's like a report at everyone's place. I was just it was peak like high school movie.
It was the Burn Book and Mean Girls.
Girls. Yeah. So but what he did do though is Ray Fiennes, he blacked out the names of the cardinals who had been bribed, so as to not expose them as well.
Just John Lithgow.
Just exposing John Lithgow. So then this is like if and when Isabella Rossellini has her Oscar nomination, this is what they won't like. She would win it for darting her eyes back and forth outside of the dead Pope's door.
Oh, but they'll play this scene at the Oscars.
Yeah. Because so Ray Fiennes, like everyone reads the report, and everyone's just like meh, like maybe it's fake or I forget what they're saying. But then Isabella Rossellini is just like, hi, like I know I'm supposed to be invisible, but like fuck that, and this is all true. And he brought sister, the Nigerian nun, here, and boom, mic drop, Isabella Rossellini out. And then she like curtsies.
She's like, and I know everything, and you didn't even notice it was me because none of you noticed women except for Ray Fiennes. Gone.
She does the curtsy and then leaves.
Yes. Ooh. Beautiful.
It was gorgeous work. It was
my
amazing.
Theater applauded. It wasn't just me.
It was so good. It was like people applauded at that America Ferrera speech in Barbie. And this is
exactly like that. We were like,
yes. Yes, women. I want to tell you
the
something
other
else.
time we got a full theater laugh in my showing was at some point, I think I think it was when they were just talking about, okay, we have to get behind John Lithgow as Pope. And Ray Fiennes was like, we have to get behind who was Pope? And Stanley Tucci goes, it wouldn't be the worst Pope we've ever had. And the theater loved that.
Theater of like your local Catholic.
All of us remembering Pope John the 12th. Maybe that was just me.
Oh yeah, that was in the scene. It was in the scene of the staircase, and the guy was like, "Look, we've had Nazi sympathizers as popes. We've had this as popes. We've had this as popes. It's like could be worse."
Yeah, we've had Nazi sympathizers as popes like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Oh yeah, I was going to say about Isabella Rossellini. So something else I learned is that Isabella Rossellini famously is the daughter of Ingrid Bergman, the famous actress. Stanley Tucci, famously a person who knows a lot about Italian food and dining. So they're all, and also this guy, this architect from Vancouver is also there. They're all in Rome, just like hanging out. And so, yeah, Isabella Rossellini, but she's the one, she's like, oh, like, I'll show you all the good places to eat all the best Italian food. Like, I'm an Italian person and I grew up here. And Stanley Tucci's like, oh, that's great. I know some restaurants too. And Isabella Rossellini's like, but do you know this place? And what it is it's a restaurant run by nuns where she used to go a lot with her mom because the nuns didn't watch movies and they didn't know who Ingrid Bergman was. So Isabella Rossellini could go there. Like her mother loved going there when she was in Rome because she was treated not like a famous actress, but it's this like secret nun restaurant, like in a nunnery.
I want to go there with Stanley Tucci and Isabella Rossellini.
And Stanley Tucci was like, this is actually the best Italian food I've ever had. I'm Stanley Tucci. My whole career is eating Italian food. And it's like this
I approve this message.
This secret nun restaurant. And then this guy, the architect, is just like, wow, my life is great. What is happening right now? So because of all this, John Lithgow is now no longer in the running. So when the people like him and Adeyemi, like they're still there. They're still voting the conclave. It's just like they know that there's not support. Like they're not candidates anymore.
They just got conclaved. They still have to attend.
Boom! Conclaved. So it's kind of like, now it's like, well, I guess it's going to be like everyone keeps being knocked out because of their like secrets. And it's like, well, who's left to like, and it's like, haha, now Tedesco is going to win. But then it's like, well, now we need to coalesce all the support behind Ray Fiennes, who's been getting votes every time, even though he's been trying to personally tell people, stop voting for me.
And then he just did that dramatic shit with the photocopier. I'd fucking vote for him at this point in the movie. I'm like, yes.
That guy. I want this messy drama. But also every vote, Benitez, like the first time he got 1 vote. The next time he got like 3 votes. Then he got like 5 votes. So he's been like quietly, people have started, like, I feel like anytime someone talks to him, they're like, oh wait, you're like actually nice and good. Like, so like 1 more person votes for him too. So the only remaining candidates really are Ray Fiennes and Tedesco. And so Ray Fiennes, and who's been like, I don't want to be the Pope. I don't even want to be a cardinal. But then they show this is getting up to a big twist.
Yes.
But what happens is, so they're all there and they're voting, and it seems like where the movie's headed. And Ray Fiennes, they show him writing down his own name because he's like, I don't want to be Pope, but like, I can't let Tedesco be Pope. And he writes down his own name. And as he goes up to submit his vote.
No, wait. Oh. We have one thing before this, which is when Stanley Tucci is like, you're going to be Pope. You picked out your Pope name yet? And Ray Fiennes is like, yes. And my Pope name will be John. And that's when you know he's betrayed himself. But he's picked his own Pope name. And I love that. But then, yes, he writes his name down. And he starts to walk toward the big old elaborate bowl where you put your name.
And then?
Neither of us can decide who gets to say it because it's the best.
An explosion!
The second his name hits the bowl, a bomb blows out the top of the Vatican.
Now,
I yelled, fuck yes. At that point.
I hope you did.
By the way, this was the genre switch into an movie I was referring to.
No, this is where I was like, this is the moment Allison meant. This is the pivot.
Yeah.
Because suddenly the movie did change. But there was foreshadowing of this because like a few votes ago, there had been some sort of weird noise outside. And they're all like, murr, 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 what was that? And Ray Fiennes talks to his guy on the outside. And the guy's like, oh yeah, no, there's like a bomb set off like somewhere across the city. But like, we can't let the Cardinals know because that might affect their vote. So we knew that there was some sort of like terrorism type thing happening in Rome. But
I did not expect the literal light of God's judgment to punch its fist through the ceiling and knock Ray Fiennes to the ground for voting for himself for Pope.
Yeah.
I love when a symbolism just actually physically hurts you. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because they had those like really the hurricane blinds on all the windows, and the bomb knocked them off. So now there's like a light going like, whoa, like coming in through the window.
A single beam of light that I think might actually land on the crucifix or something.
Yeah. So it looks
flawless.
like it looks like the scene of the Sistine Chapel, like this like perfect beam of light is like, whoa.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's where I was like, I feel like this has to be the pivot that Allison meant, where the movie suddenly changes. Yeah. Because I was already on board, but now I'm even more on board because this just got bananas. Okay, so what happened was, so it was I didn't catch all the details, but not because the actors weren't enunciating like Ray Fiennes taught them, but so a suicide bomber attack. I was just so excited, I didn't pay attention. A suicide bomber attacks the Vatican, killing many in the crowd outside and damaging the Sistine Chapel. So then all of the cardinals are taken. It's sort of like in January 6th, where all of the like Congress was taken to like a secret underground room or something altogether.
Yeah, they go to the Vatican bunker, which looks like a middle school auditorium.
I was like, they just put them in a movie theater. It does look like a middle school auditorium, and it's the same place where they had their earliest meeting of Stanley Tucci being like, oh, I don't want to be the Pope. Like, it's a room we've seen before.
It's the room for secret conversations. That's right. Yeah.
So they're all in this kind of like movie theater type room. And so Tedesco stands up and he's all like, oh, blah, blah, make Vatican great again.
This is what we get for tolerating the Muslims. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like, let's just bring back like the, what's it called? Where in the medieval times?
The Crusades.
Let's bring back the Crusades and like go destroy these like Muslims. And then, okay, so what is about to happen is that Benitez is going to give a speech. And what I want to tell you is what I saw in the actor's interview with CBC Radio was he was talking about, he was so nervous because he had this big speech to give. And he's like an architect from Vancouver. And he's have to give a speech in front of all these people, these like Shakespearean actors who've been doing this for 50 years.
One of whom is John Lithgow. Like, no pressure.
But John Lithgow, I'm glad you said that. So he was just like, oh, I'm so nervous. And John Lithgow was like, here's the thing. So I just love the fact that these guys are all coaching him because he's like 53 years old. All the other actors are like 73. So they're already like a bit older than him, but like so much more experienced in this job, right? So John Lithgow was like, here's the thing. When you have a big speech like this, like you're so in control of it. Like don't feel like you have to talk quickly to get it over with. Like the camera is going to stay on you until you finish. So like take all the time you need, take all the pauses you need, and just like know that you're actually in control of the situation. And I was like, wow, John Lithgow. And the actor Carlos Diaz was like, well, what do you do about like stage fright? And John Lithgow was like, well, that never goes away, but that just shows how much you care.
Aww.
Yeah.
Hey.
And then the director, who's also like, okay, like I cast you Canadian architect, like how are you doing? And he's like, no, I'm good, I'm fine. And the director was like, okay, because like I can hear your heart beating through your microphone because you're so anxious right now. So Carlos Diaz is like, okay, like take some deep breaths.
Take some deep breaths, yeah.
So knowing all of that, so what he does is he stands up and he gives a speech, and he's just like in this soft-spoken, kind, good person way that is his way, that the same way he was with the turtles. Like he's just, he's just like a genuine person. And that's part of what I like about this movie is that the people really are who they seem they are. It's not like a twist on a twist on a twist. It's just like, no, he actually is just a good person. The story is that straightforward.
Anybody who is secretly not a good person is acting so loudly that you know from the beginning they're not a good person.
So here's how the Wikipedia describes the speech that he gives, which is very soft-spoken, but also like strong in like a quiet way. And what the actor had also said when he was thinking about this character was like, this is somebody, he's been like, he worked as a missionary and he's worked in these different roles. Like he's clearly got leadership skills. Like he knows how to get people to listen to him. He's not just like this innocent in the woods or whatever. Like he does have the goods. And so that comes out in this speech. So it says, Benitez responds to this like Tedesco fascist speech calling for a Christian war. Benitez is like, violence should not be met with more violence. He's seen the true cost of war during his time in the Congo, Baghdad, and Kabul. And it's like a very moving speech. And then they all go back into the conclave room to vote again. And this time, the majority vote for Benitez.
Who is our new pope?
And
the white smoke goes up. The people in the square are stoked.
I think they were also, when they were in the secret cardinal room, I think they're also talking about how, like, we need to elect a pope. Like, the people need to see that we are strong, that we are unified, like that the church isn't just full of bitches who are like ambitious. Like, we need to be like, it'll be soothing and help people recover from this tragedy when they see that like we can get it together and like elect a pope. So they elect Benitez as pope. Actually, the way that this is revealed, it's like we don't see at first, like they're like, okay, a pope has been chosen. And then you slowly see in the crowd, and you see like John Lithgow is there, and you see Stanley Tucci is there, and it's like, oh, did they choose Ray Fiennes? But then Ray Fiennes,
they're all clapping.
Then
you see Ray Fiennes clapping,
and you're like, he's not the pope. It's like, who's the pope? And then it's like, it's Benitez. And then like, Benitez, do you accept this rose? And then and then Benitez is like, I will. And they're like, and what's your pope name? And he's like, Innocent. Innocente, he says. And then
you would think that's the end of the movie. However,
we go back to the turtles, because I think there's a turtle wandering through the Vatican, and Ray Fiennes is like, oh, it's a turtle. And then his spy comes in, and he's like, holy shit, oh my God, what's happening? He's like, I didn't think Benitez was going to be pope, so I didn't tell you this other information that I had learned, but now Benitez is pope, and I don't know what to do. And this movie actually does a really good job of like not showing the person saying the thing, but cutting to the next scene of somebody reacting to the thing. Yeah. So Ray Fiennes is like, well, what did you find out? And he's like, I found out why Benitez was going to go to Switzerland for the medical thing. And Ray Fiennes is like, well, what is it? And the guy's like, I can't tell you. And then cut to Ray Fiennes being like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So then he goes in to see Benitez, who like hasn't come out yet in his Pope outfit. They're like that he won't put on his Pope outfit. We don't know why. So then Ray Fiennes goes in, and Benitez is like, I've been waiting for you to come in because we're bros, and I knew you would. And Ray Fiennes is like, do you want to tell me about the Switzerland surgery situation, Benitez? How do you recall Benitez explaining this?
I recall trying to guess what it was for and getting exactly 3 wrong guesses in before he revealed what kind of a surgery it was. But I was sure the secret reveal was going to be AIDS, because they kept referring to him going to a clinic in Switzerland. And I was thinking, well, that would be a kick-ass reveal, actually. Like, love that. And then they keep talking, and then it's like, oh, I guess it's not that. It's not that. I wonder what it is. And then Benitez eventually says, well, I was scheduled for a surgery, and then I decided I didn't want to do it, but the Pope said it was no big deal, and so I could go ahead and become a cardinal anyway. And then he says what the surgery was, and he says he was scheduled for a hysterectomy, and I almost fell out of my chair.
So he explains that what I also heard is that he and Ray Fiennes, like, they spent like 6 to 7 hours filming that scene, like just really getting into it. And so what he explains is he was going to get basically, he doesn't say these words, but what he is saying is Benitez was intersex and assigned male at birth, and then grew up in like he went to like a religious school or something, where it's just kind of like no one saw each other naked ever, so he never knew that he looked different from other boys, and he didn't actually realize that this was. And then he became a priest, and this has just kept not being a thing he needed to think about. But then he had an appendectomy. And then when he got that done, they were like, guess what? You have ovaries and are an intersex person, like chromosomally. And so Benitez, that's where he was like, oh, I thought like, oh, I should, get this surgery, but then decided not to. And then he says, I like this. He's like, well, Ray Fiennes, like you said in your speech, isn't it time for the Vatican to have more uncertainty and more things that are neither this or that? And Ray Fiennes is like, I
don't know if I meant this, because I'm trying.
Yeah. So then Benitez goes on to explain he chose to keep his female organs. And I'm using he, him pronouns because Benitez is a man and lives as a man, and defines himself as a man. Benitez goes on to explain he chose to keep these female organs, stating, "I am as God made me," which is like fair. Because if you're being like God, whatever, it's like this God made you this way. Yeah. You don't need to correct mistakes with that's why he didn't get the surgery. And so Ray Fiennes is like, you know what? Let's do this. Sure. You're still like everyone else here sucks. You're great.
First intersex Pope. Let's go.
Or that we know of.
True.
And then so he agrees to keep the secret, and then he listens to the crowd's cheer. The crowd's outside cheering Benitez being elected as Pope Innocent the 14th. And then he looks outside and he sees I thought this is so interesting. The very last shot of the film is he sees some of the nuns just like leaving the building, just to remind you, like, hey, they were there too. Like, and maybe this new Pope will bring a better deal for women in the church. Who knows? So you leave with kind of like a okay feeling of like, this isn't so bad.
Exactly.
They could have chosen a much worse Pope. This was
they
a
sure
good
could have. I think
Yeah.
everybody else would have been a much worse Pope. So only good option.
Yeah, the only good option was this guy who it turns out, surprise, intersex person. And that was, so this movie has done, I'm just looking at the other stuff that it says.
And while you're doing that, like, I went back and forth on the intersex reveal at the end of this movie. Like, I don't love this person is not cis as a surprise reveal most of the time. Like, you got tricked into this person being intersex, but at the same time, like, fuck the Catholic Church, so that part was satisfying. So I go back and forth on whether I'm here for that or not.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know what to think about that as a twist. I think that the movie didn't present it as a bad thing or as a scary, horrifying monster thing.
Right. But they did want to say this person is intersex, and I hope everybody gasped when they heard that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the book's twist ending also.
You know? Do you know when this book was written?
Recently.
Okay.
Like within the last, I don't know, 5 years.
Gotcha.
2016. I think it was written around the same time, shortly after the most recent Pope was chosen, because that was when anyone gave a shit about conclaves.
That would be like 2 years, 3 years after, probably.
Yeah, so I was just reading about the film, because I was wondering about, the process they showed of a conclave, and is that what it's like, or is it secret? Or the person who wrote the screenplay written by Peter Strawn, he met with a cardinal. Doesn't say the name redacted, to discuss the logistics of the conclave. So here's some stuff about the set design. So the set designers took great care to replicate the Sistine Chapel, though they took some artistic license with the painting. They made their set more prison-like to enhance dramatic tension. Costume designers visited several museums in Rome as part of their research. For the cardinal's red attire, costume designer Lissy Crystal opted for a hue used in 17th century cardinal vestments rather than one from modern day ones, believing it was far more beautiful and far easier for our eyes. So she did the job.
Did the work.
And that's why the robes look so beautiful. Because she didn't use the ones that they use now that are probably just like polyester. And who cares? Let's see. So the film, it's doing fine. It's doing very well. It was released
better than you would expect a papal thriller that came out at the same time as Wicked and Gladiator 2 would do.
Starring entirely 75-year-old men.
Yes.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's doing just fine. The reviews are all really good. People are talking about, religious response. Let's see. This person, the Archdiocese of Los Angeles magazine, Angelus, complimented the actors' performances, but wrote that the problem here is not that it is full of bias against the Catholic Church. The problem is that it is just plain bad.
Okay.
I don't know.
How does it feel to be so wrong?
Yeah. The National Catholic Reporter praised the film, calling it a compelling and ecclesiastical call for a renewed spiritual stewardship, characterized by humility, meekness, and curiosity, doubt. Let's see. In Christianity Today, they said though the film subtly advances progressive convictions.
Subtly? Subtly? What this film does not have is anything that is subtle.
It gives cardinals of all ideological persuasions equal opportunity to fall short.
I will say, like, this probably didn't get the church as mad as something like this is not going to be a Da Vinci Code situation.
No,
They're not
exactly.
they're not being like, oh, Jesus had kids. They're being like, sometimes priests are corrupt, and like not even all of them, and not even that bad, really. They were pretty generous.
Oh wow, this shitty bishop said, I'll say his name. I'll say his name because he sucks. He's just some random bishop, Robert Barron. He said, just saw Conclave. I'm going to guess he said this on X, is my guess. If you're interested in a film about the Catholic Church that could have been written by the editorial board of the New York Times, this is your movie. The hierarchy of the church is a hotbed of ambition, corruption, and desperate egotism. Conservatives are xenophobic extremists, and the liberals are self-important schemers. None can escape this irredeemable situation. The only way forward is the embrace of the progressive buzzwords of diversity, inclusion, and the ultimate solution is a virtue-signaling cardinal who takes the papal name of innocent and who is intersex. Since it checks practically every woke box, I'm sure it'll win a boatload of awards, but my advice is to run away from it as fast as you can.
Virtue signaling. What does he think Jesus is?
I know, Robert Barron. What do you think your church is based on? Do you not know that the Vatican is a hotbed of corruption and ambition? You're a bishop.
Well, his name almost literally is Robert Barron, so probably he doesn't.
Let's see. Ugh, this guy sucks. Anyway, so it's like, what, you wanted to see a movie about like, oh, everyone here is great. Who's going to be the next pope? I don't know any of these nice people. That's not a movie.
That's not even a 25-minute TV episode. Like, we're coming here for papal drama.
Yeah.
Let me have it. And this movie does let me have it.
And at the same time, it's like, oh, what did the Catholic, you know who I think would like this movie is the Pope. Because I think he's an old man in this movie.
Yeah. He probably is the target audience.
Speaking of, this film has been commercially successful, particularly among an older demographic. According to box office data, nearly 50% of ticket buyers were over 55, a demographic that has been less active in movie theaters since the COVID-19 pandemic.
The other 50% of ticket buyers were me and Ann.
Yep.
Me and Ann. Just going back.
Yeah.
I think it was people who also enjoy RuPaul's Drag Race because it's the same kind of betrayal and drama and fancy capes.
Yeah. It was just such a good movie. And that was the thing. Like I kept thinking during the whole time it was going to come at the end that Benitez was like behind the suicide bombers and he made that happen because he was secretly ambitious and that was his plan to become Pope. That's where I thought it was headed. But I appreciate that it didn't do that. I appreciate it didn't do John Lithgow poison the Pope, although I think he probably did.
I think he probably did too.
The last person to see him alive.
Did he just get him a little Nescafe from the machine and put a little poison in the espresso? I think so.
Like, I think the movie, part of what I appreciate was it was just so straightforward. It was just kind of like, who is going to be the Pope? Here's some complications. This person sucks. This person has a secret. This person's bad. This person's a Pope now, the end. Like, there wasn't anything like, and guess what? The Pope's not even really dead. Benitez is the Pope with extreme plastic surgery. Like,
okay, that also would have been incredible. I would have enjoyed that twist.
Yeah, but it didn't go. Yeah, like it was.
It went just far enough off the rails.
Yeah.
But like the rails were always nearby.
Yeah.
This did not end up becoming a Brotherhood of the Wolf situation.
No. And I think that that's lovely that both you and I have found common ground.
In this perfect papal thriller, Conclave.
I mean, recommend it for all. The elderly, the less elderly.
The elderly, the millennial women, etc.
Anyone who likes a good senior citizen man thriller where they're all wearing robes and speaking Latin.
If the phrase "the cardinal vaped ominously" fills you with joy, go see this movie. You will enjoy it so much.
Yeah, or even just like, and then they closed all the doors and they had no contact with the outside world. If that fills you with joy, like it just all these tropes that I don't often see, all put together. And you're right. And Ralph Fiennes' character, he did have a real sort of like Poirot type vibe. Like, so if you like again, like he's not investigating a murder, or is he? But just the way that he's snooping around. Isabella Rossellini, like flawless, perfect
Yes, so good.
goddess. Like she's perfect in that role. Yeah, it was just I like this movie so much.
It was so good. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. And I'm
Yeah,
so glad that we could yell about it and applaud in theaters separately but together about it.
spiritually together.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I was so because you had seen it, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to see it, and then I'm like, oh no, Wicked is opening. It's like, will this movie for the elderly still be in the theaters? Luckily, it was in the
Luckily
one
it was.
very small theater. There was like me, 3 other people. It was great.
I had a half full theater. I went at like a 7 o'clock on a Friday, and I was like, people. It was all people in their 60s and their wives or husbands, but
Yeah.
and
Oh,
me.
and I went to an afternoon screening, which I feel like also appeals to seniors. Just a
Classic
sec.
seniors movie time.
I forgot I did this. I need to I had said on the Patreon, I'm gonna be talking to Allison. Does anyone have any questions for Allison? And 2 people did.
Oh, is the question, should I see Conclave? Because I think we've answered that one.
Yeah. Well, I didn't tell them what we would be talking about. I just said I'd be talking to you. Okay, so here's the first question. Who says, do you have any advice for someone considering studying/pursuing a career similar to yours, i.e., creative pursuits inspired by history? Words of caution or encouragement, tips and tricks. Curious to know what you found most difficult or most rewarding.
I think the most useful advice somebody gave me was to make sure that you're super interested in the subject that you decide to write about rather than what's popular in the market right now. Because by the time you finish researching and drafting and redrafting and sending it around for edits and then eventually getting it, if you get it into the publishing space, for me, that took like 7 years. And what was popular when I started doing that, like that doesn't matter at that point. And because you do have to spend so much time doing it and doing the research of it, like make sure you're excited about it because your readers will know when you're really jazzed about something. And if you're writing just because, like, I'm going to write a book about nurses in World War II because those sell, people will know that if you're writing it because it sells or because you're excited about it. Um, I would also say people are going to not like it, and that's fine. Other people will like it. It's very there's no way to have like a creative life where everyone's happy with what you're doing. So don't read your own reviews. I don't read my reviews anymore. That was a very good decision for me.
Except for your very good reviews that you got for your new book in Publishers Weekly and Kirkus.
I read the good reviews that people send to me in email that say, look at this good review. You're going to like this one. And then I read those.
Oh, that's good. That's a good way to get them. Yeah.
Yeah. Trust that if something out there is good, a friend will send it to you. And if something out there is mean, your friends won't tell you. So,
That's good. And then the other question is from a person called Allison,
hey.
who is also in Chicago.
Oh,
And
no.
so,
Does it me?
so as a fellow Chicago Allison,
Hey.
this Allison would love to know where you find inspiration.
Well, that's a great question right now because I'm trying to find inspiration to work on anything and I don't have it yet. So usually what I do is I just research mostly. Like what I like to do, I don't have a clear idea for what I want to work on next, but I do have time periods and people and like vibes that I'm interested in. Like lately I've gotten super interested in like turn of the 20th century Chicago history. And so what I'm doing
Is
is
that
I'm
like
just reading.
gangsters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is the book I told you about with the 2 rival brothel owners who were fighting with the alderman. Like,
Yeah.
I think that shit is great. So I'm just reading as much about that as I can, waiting for something to like hit me and, oh, I want to write about that. Or there's a story in there that I want to dig into. I usually find it like that. And that's a little frustrating because I have to wait for something to show up. And right now
Yeah.
there isn't anything. But
But you're
it will
waiting
come.
until it's something that, like you said, like that you are willing to think about for several years.
Yes. I found a couple things that I thought, "Ooh, that could be an idea." And then I started writing it and I got bored in 2 weeks. I'm like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
not gonna hold." It's gotta be something that an idea and a character that I feel like, "Ooh, I wanna spend a lot of time with this person and this idea."
Mhm.
So,
Well, thank you, Allison. Those are the 2
you're very
questions
welcome.
that were brought to me to bring to you. I forget what was like other than Vulgar Peace Theater, I don't know the last thing we recorded. Lafayette. Yes.
It was the Lafayette multi-part series and also the Napoleon Carolyn of Brunswick episode.
Yes, we had some good conversations. Yeah, Lafayette, people are, new listeners or whatever, people catching up. Like, people in the US are so excited about Lafayette because there's so many places.
He's so cool.
But there's so many places called Lafayette because he traveled all over. And everywhere he visited, they called something after him.
They sure did. I remember that. But yeah, there's probably 4 or 5 Lafayette colleges. There's a Lafayette in probably all 50 states.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
And he's like the one like white man from that era who I don't mind things being called after.
Yeah. I'm like, no, go ahead, man.
He deserves it. No,
You do. It was also helpful that he was in America at the time where we were just starting and everything needed a name. So
true.
That's why there's so many Washingtons.
So confusing to me still. Like the fact that there's Washington State is different from Washington, D.C.
It's very silly.
It's very
Washington, D.C. as a concept is silly because it's not even a state.
Wait, is it like the Vatican? Is it like is it
sorta
like it's like its own thing in another thing?
I mean, it's part of the U.S., but it's sort of like it. Yes and no.
Is it?
We don't have a pope, so it is different in that way.
But in the sense of like, here's a city, and I understand how that works, and within that city, here's this other thing that's not part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's its own little territory inside of like Maryland and Virginia.
Yeah,
which isn't part of either of them, but still has to pay taxes. Sorry, DC.
I don't know. I was not cool. I knew as much about American history as I ever did approximately 3 months ago, and that's all left me now. But
yeah,
for
now
you
just know as much about Brunswick as any human being has ever known, ever.
Yeah. My book's due on February 1st. Woo!
Oh my god, yeah, that's so soon.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
You're gonna do it.
I have my word count, but I keep finding new things that I want to add into it. I am surrounded by so many books right now. Democracy, one is called. Why do I have that?
Nice and specific as a topic.
I have a book called Democracy. What is this even? Democracy, the Long Revolution. Oh yeah, because I'm doing a lot of stuff with the mob.
The mob?
The pro-Caroline mob.
Oh, I thought you meant the mafia. And I was like, hang on a minute.
Oh no. Sorry, I forgot that that's even a thing people say. No, when I say the mob, I mean my beloved working class. The beloved
mob, right, not the Godfather mob, which I thought maybe Caroline was involved with, which would have been fun.
She was in Italy. I don't know.
Yeah, had a threatening cannoli once or twice.
She was in the Vatican. She met some cardinals. Allison, thank you so much. Like this movie, I saw it and I couldn't wait to talk to you about it, as evidenced by the messages I sent you right after I saw it. But
I think the message just said, this is the greatest movie of all time.
And then I think I was like, when he found the papers behind the headboard, ! And you were like, !
Thank you for talking about this with me. There's no one else I would rather debrief this movie with.
And I really had to debrief this movie.
Yeah.
Is the thing. It was so beautifully done. There's the one scene where the cardinals are coming inside and it's raining and the camera's above. And
the umbrellas.
And it's just they're all wearing their red robes and they're all holding like see-through umbrellas. And at first I didn't even know what I was looking at, but it was beautiful. And I'm like, oh, that's the cardinals walking in the rain from above. Like it's just a beautifully shot movie too. That's also just like a bananas thriller.
Yes. Gorgeous. I love it. Listeners, go see this before Wicked kicks it out of theaters.
Or I think it's going to be streaming on Peacock. So, it could be a cozy watch at home over your Christmas holidays with your elderly male relatives type film.
That's true. This is a great grandpa bonding film.
Watch this movie with the old man in your life. Or me or Allison. Honorary old men.
Honorary old men.
Thank you so much, Allison.
Bye.
Welcome to Gotham, Jimmy. It's not as bad as it looks.
DC and Realm present.
Our vigilante, or Batman as he's called, possesses extraordinary physical skill.
DC High Volume Batman. Fear. I have to make them afraid. I shall become a bat.
Look there. What the hell?
The Dark Knight's definitive DC Comics stories.
He's got a motorcycle. Get after him or I'll have you shot. Take him down.
Adapted directly for audio for the very first time.
Thinks he's a damn Robin Hood. He dies.
Looks like it's just you and me now, Phil Cooney.
Hit the floodlight. It's showtime. New episodes every Wednesday. Follow and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Batman hasn't attacked anybody. What do you mean, blow up the building?
From this moment on, none of you are safe. DC High Volume Batman. Available now.
I'm Amy Nicholson, the film critic for the LA Times.
And I'm Paul Scheer, an actor, writer, and director. You might know me from The League, Veep, or my non-eligible for Academy Award role in Twisters.
We love movies, and we come at them from different perspectives.
Yeah, like Amy thinks that, Joe Pesci was miscast in Goodfellas, and I don't.
He's too old. Let's not forget that Paul thinks that Dune 2 is overrated.
It is.
Anyway, despite this, we come together to host Unspooled, a podcast where we talk about good movies, critical hits,
fan favorites, must-sees, and in case you missed them.
We're talking Parasite to Home Alone.
From Grease to The Dark Knight.
We've done deep dives on popcorn flicks. We've talked about why Independence Day deserves a second look.
And we've talked about horror movies, some that you've never even heard of, like Ganja and Hess.
So if you love movies like we do, come along on our cinematic adventure.
Listen to Unspooled wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to hit the follow button.
Can you actually change your personality if you want to? How does peer pressure work, and why is it so powerful? Should you ever really trust your gut when you make a big decision? These are just a few of the topics we've recently covered on my podcast, Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and each episode of Something You Should Know covers multiple topics that are likely relevant to you. You'll discover things you can use in your life today, right now, like how to have a great conversation, how to be more courageous, the anatomy of the perfect apology, and much, much more. To date, there are over 1,000 episodes of Something You Should Know, and we've gotten over 4,000 mostly 5-star reviews. I invite you to check out Something You Should Know. Look for the bright yellow light bulb on the blue background. Something You Should Know, wherever you listen to podcasts.
What's up, fellow TV watchers? It's Brian from The Core Podcast, where we cover all things Apple TV+. We are wrapping up our recaps of Emmy favorite Severance, but 2025 on Apple TV Plus is just getting started. In April and May, The Core is recapping Seth Rogen's new Hollywood satire, The Studio, and Jon Hamm's dark comedy, Your Friends and Neighbors. We'll also be recapping the first 2 seasons of Apple's sci-fi thriller, Foundation, heading into the 3rd season of that later this year. Search for The Core, all things Apple TV Plus, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.